Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show.
I have to find that line now.
You should. It's pretty early on.
Oh, here, it's never happened. We've never had an unsatisfied customer.
I think you mean dissatisfied.
That's right. You're a left-brain word fetishist. A left-brain word fetishist.
Oh, it's fetishist?
Yeah, fetishist.
I thought he said fascist this whole time.
That is so funny. Maybe in the movie he ends up saying fascist. In the script, it's fetishist.
I'm going to actually pretend that he keeps saying fascist. I think that makes it better.
Does that make it better? It makes it a little more...
Makes it mo better.
Mo better fascist.
It is. It's mo better fascist. All right. This is the big change I want to make for today. Are you ready?
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Tell me.
First of all, where can people find you? Where would you like people to find you, Andy? If they were looking for you, we're operating off a presumption that you're going to say something incredible over the next hour. And I want people to know up front, write it down, get your pencil and your Moleskine notebooks out and write down, where do I find Andy Nelson?
Well, I think at the Movie Monkey is fine for Twitter.
Okay. That's good.
And, Facebook, the Movie Monkey too. If they want to converse with me, then Facebook would be the better place to go, I suppose.
You don't do a lot of the replying.
If they just want to hear me espouse my brilliant philosophizing of films, then Twitter is probably all they need.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. I also finally, I'm not sure if you actually clicked around, but I got your bio up on the website.
I saw on, I don't know, I don't know if I can say on that one website.
Well, no, it's actually, I've just broken it. I'm going to fix it while we talk. I even have your Google Plus page. In that list of buttons on your bio.
I saw. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's a good place too. Google Plus is fine.
Good. I like that.
I look at all of them
occasionally.
I look at all of them occasionally. I actually don't look at Twitter. I just tweet when I need to, and then if somebody comments, I'm usually notified. But I don't regularly. I sit there reading tweets.
You don't? Boy,
no, I know.
I do. I go to bed.
What does that make me? A one-way tweeter? Twitterer? I don't.
You're tweetist. You're a left-brain tweet fetishist, fascist.
I'm something. I don't know what it is.
I am.
Where are you?
I'm on the Twitter and the Google Plus and the Facebook, and it's all Pete Wright, except for Google Plus, which is number. Just search for me.
Oh.
Or go to my bio on Rash Pixel TV, and you can find the show hosts.
I just clicked on it, and it took me right to your Google Plus page.
It does. It's that automated.
Wow.
You'll note I totally cheated after asking you for your bio for so long. I wrote bio coming soon.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
It's
I'm
coming,
like,
man.
See, I was very excited to read yours. After all that stress I had of coming up with something brilliant for mine, which I'm still not convinced it is.
Did you click? Well, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
And I don't like the picture you used of me.
Oh no!
I'm not convinced. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, I don't. Really
well, then you send me the other one again. I'll look for the other one. You want the one where you're looking off screen? You know why I didn't use it? Honestly, I had it in there, and it looks like you're looking down, like the Partridge Family. It looks like you're looking down at the show description. Which is just
I was.
Kind of
maybe I am.
Here's
maybe
a
I'm
story.
reading it.
Yeah, that's what you're reading it. It's like even this picture of me is too good to look you in the eye. That's what it says to me.
Oh,
I'm not
all I see
picture.
Is not enough hair. That's all I see.
What?
Yeah, it's true. But what are you gonna do?
I miss these moments. So that's the website. I'm migrating the website post by post, and slowly but surely. I think on the all of the Rash Pixel shows, if you go to the old URLs on the old website, they now redirect to the new website, the new show page, and so people should be able to find it if you just go to rashpixel.tv /MWL and click on one of the shows. If you click on any show of movies we like on Rash Pixel TV, it'll take you to the new show page.
Right.
And so there's that.
Right.
So good luck. And
It's slick. It's pretty slick.
You know, I'm pretty. I'm liking the Squarespace. That's what we're moving on to. Is this Squarespace? I've been a WordPress guy for a long time, but man, I'm liking the Squarespace. Having fun. You know what it was? I got the 6 Squarespace V6 is this whole new publishing engine. I got a beta code to get in and play with it, and that renewed, it piqued my interest in Squarespace. So I've been having a lot of fun. So I figured this is as good a test as any. So I'll start building out the site. So it's going to be broken for a long time. So people who listen to this show, I apologize. There's a good chance it's full on broken at some percentage until I get all the. I've got like 400 episodes of worth of posts I've got to get in there for all the different shows. I was going to say, did you look at Joe Waters' bio? Joe Waters.
I didn't. I was very just egotistical. If
you want to see a bio, you look at that guy's bio.
Uh-oh.
He does the Cause Talk radio show. It's a brand new show, just launched today, in fact. And he co-wrote the Cause Marketing for Dummies book, and he's got some history. That guy, he's got traction. I love that he's on the network.
He has a long bio.
Well, he has a lot to be proud of, and he has incredibly awesome Boston accent.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you know, he's talking about something important. We're just talking about
definitely there's.
Not to diminish it, but saving children, talking about David Fincher.
Especially this week. This is not. All right. No, you're right.
Hey now.
Uh-huh.
I'm a fan of this one.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that's right.
Let's do this. Let's do this thing. I've been putzing around, geeking out over here, trying to get this stupid feed to work for so long. And now I'm ready to talk about this movie. But we have to talk about some of this. So people find you at the movie. I'm at Pete Wright. You know where else you should find us? You should check us out on iTunes. You can subscribe to us, and the link to iTunes is right on the website. If you are on some other platform and don't like iTunes, I absolutely respect you for that. Check out the RSS audio feed. It's right there on the website. And finally, you can hear Movies We Like on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly on your iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Kindle Fire, and more, maybe even your BlackBerry Playbook. I'm actually not sure about that. You don't have Stitcher, you can download it for free.
It should be.
At Stitcher.com, or find the app in the appropriate app store of your pleasure. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio. That's the truth.
That is the truth. You know what I think we should start doing?
Tell me.
To inspire people to comment on iTunes, like the 5-star reviews that we get.
Yeah.
Is that easy?
Yeah, we have some of those. You're doing that thing? You're cutting out again. Are you on Wi-Fi?
No, I'm not. You've been cutting in and out a little bit.
Well, I've actually just been talking that way.
Oh, okay. Let me check all of my connections. No, everything's connected.
That's no good. All right, well, we'll see how it goes.
Ay, Dios mío.
All right, what do you think we should do to inspire people to comment?
Should we read our 5-star reviews that we get on the air?
Yeah, sure. Go for it. Do you have some up and live right now?
I have the 2 5-star reviews up that we have. So
I'd love to hear it.
All right, first one, another great one by Michael Berta. I've been listening to Pete since before Beer 30 Live and enjoyed each edition of his talent. This podcast is no exception. It is insightful, witty, and a joy to listen to each week. I've recommended it to my film buff friends, and I'm sure they'll enjoy it too.
I love Mike Berta. I do.
Yeah.
He's Beer 30 takes me way, way back. Way to go, Mike. Thanks for saying something, man. That's very kind to actually speak up.
I don't know him at all, but he left a great review, and so thumbs up to Mike. And Kira Wright, a great podcast to listen to on a long weekend drive. I enjoy the episodes on movies I've seen just as much as I enjoy their banter on movies I haven't or won't. Hoping for many more.
There are actually, I know her pretty well.
Yeah,
and there are actually a lot more movies she won't see that we talk about.
I know we're gonna have to like work on hitting some different demographics. We've had some pretty dark series so far.
Seriously. So you wanted to talk about a trailer, some such trailer. Wait a minute. Did we already talk about Star Wars 3D? Was that last week?
No.
All right. Well, go ahead.
No. I did. Okay. So yeah, I saw Star Wars Episode 1 3D. And I really felt like tearing my eyeballs out for the duration of it. It was awful. It was amazing how painful it was. I really had no intention of going at all. And it was one of those things where in a 24-hour period of time, I started thinking about when I first saw Star Wars, meaning Episode 4, when I was a kid, and I was 4 years old. My daughter's 5. And, Star Wars has had such a huge influence on me. I'm just like, God, I would love to take her to Star Wars and show that to her. So I decided to take her. Now, to be fair, I took her to a 7:00 show, which means that her bedtime fell right in the middle of the movie. So she kind of got pretty tired and ended up falling asleep through the last third of the film.
Which is the more admirable part of the film anyway.
It was the only part. Like, she fell asleep, and my wife, when I told her what happened, she's like, well, why didn't you just come home? And I was like, well, because I finally got to the point where I was actually wanting to watch it.
Yeah, that was. So did the big, because that's the Star Wars Carmina Burana scene. The big fight in the hangar with Darth Maul.
Exactly.
Which I'm ape for that scene. I love that.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So what did the 3D add anything, or was it just dumb?
No, I mean, I've never had a problem with the 3D. I enjoy it. The thing I enjoy the least about 3D, and I notice it a lot more in the conversions like Lion King and this, it's just so much darker when you are watching the double projection and you have those glasses on. And I just get, it's just such a muddy image, and it looks nice. I enjoy the depth of the world, and particularly for this, it's not, obviously wasn't designed with like lightsabers poking you in the eyes or anything like that. So that wasn't obnoxious in that 3D sense. It just enveloped the world, and there was so much digital creation in it anyway that, for all intents and purposes, they were able to go back and kind of redesign all of the CG in 3D. And so, I mean, it did look pretty nice. But, it doesn't help things like Jar Jar Binks, Jake Lloyd. And I always hesitate blaming Jake Lloyd because from what I've heard, he's done good acting jobs in other films that he had been in around the time. But I really just have to blame the awful script. And it was just, it's just painful to sit through.
It was not good.
And all the stuff about the midichlorian count.
That like, you know what? That scene on the I'm even going to give you Jake Lloyd. I'm going to give you. I mean, directors have casting aneurysm. I get it. That happens sometimes where you have an otherwise good script with a bad choice of a kid. That's fine. Kids are tough to work with. I get it. Midichlorians is what destroyed the mythos.
Yeah, exactly.
It destroyed it. It absolutely, it wrote Star Wars on a book of flash paper and set a match to it. That's what it did. It burned it up. Why did they have to mess it up like that?
Yeah.
It was
I don't know.
Terrible.
It was. And it was interesting going back and watching it again because, just watching great actors, Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Terrence Howard, just all of not Terrence Howard. What's his name?
Talking about?
Trent
D'Arby.
Terrence Stamp.
Terrence Stamp is who is General Zod. I knew you were thinking of.
They're such great actors, but they all just feel so just lethargic almost. They don't know what to do with the script, and it's so clunky and painful to watch. And it was telling to me that the part that my 5-year-old daughter enjoyed the most was Jar Jar Binks. That's what she really enjoyed. And, I'm like, okay, so it's designed for 5-year-olds, despite the incredible amount of political banter, which did bore her, but all the little Jar Jar Binks hijinks kept her entertained while she was awake.
That's really interesting, because you remember they really, in many respects, fixed 2 and 3, and the politics are what actually let you hang on, I think, in those movies. But
yeah,
for me anyway, this was just. But I have to see it, and I owe it to my kids. I really feel it's just like you. I owe it to my kids, because I don't want them to. I want them to have that theater experience like I did.
And this was my daughter's, like, I haven't shown her any of the movies up till this point.
Oh, my!
So this really, truly
yeah.
was her first Star Wars experience. And it's funny because I
sort
told
of
her,
wish that I had known. I would have held off, but my daughter's 9. She's seen them all. She can recite her favorite lines from Empire.
Well, it's funny. I told my daughter I was going to take her to a movie, and she's like, "Oh, which one?" And I'm like, "Star Wars." And she's like, "Daddy, that's for boys."
No.
So I'm like, "No, it's for everyone. There's a queen in it."
But
so,
see,
and
that's
actually,
why episodes 4, 5, and 6 were so much better, because that, I think that Carrie Fisher as a role model for young women made it a much stronger film.
Yeah, and that's And Natalie Portman did a fine job, but it's just she can't do much.
She ain't no Carrie Fisher.
Crap. Yeah, but my daughter did dress up like a princess.
That
she wore
is
her
great.
outfit, so that was at least fun. So, but yeah, I saw that, and then I saw Journey to the Mysterious Island.
I was wondering if you were going to catch that. And when we talked about the trailer, you didn't seem very excited about it.
Well, that's because I hadn't even heard about it when we talked about the trailer. I didn't even know they were making it. So it was not one of those ones that I wasn't planning on seeing, but a buddy and I, we both took our kids to it, and it was more entertaining than Star Wars.
Wow.
It still wasn't anything great, but it wasn't grabbing at my eyeballs trying to rip them out. So,
wow, that's sad. We need another good adventure.
I know. What happened to all the good kid adventure movies?
I don't know. All right. Well, let's see.
But I did see that great trailer, and this is what you had asked me was.
What's the great trailer about? Please share.
It's called Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, which, again, I hadn't even heard of this film, and somebody sent it to me, and it's Steve Carell and Keira Knightley in this comedy where they find out that this huge meteor is hurling toward the earth, and in, I can't remember, 3 weeks or something, it's going to hit the earth and destroy it. And you see just like Steve Carell's, not done anything with his life, and he's miserable, and he goes into work, and the boss is just like, oh, well, who wants to be CFO? And, it's just really, it was really funny. And just like people are breaking down into tears everywhere. And, Keira Knightley's his neighbor, and she ends up helping him try finding his lost love, and he tries helping her find her family. And it looked like a really fun concept for a film. So that's one a trailer I saw that I'm quite excited to see.
She, okay, 2 comments. A, she doesn't look particularly mannish in this movie, which I think is something, that's one of the things she fights. And the second is, who plays the dog? I know that dog.
Do you?
Do you know the dog?
I don't know the dog. I'm just sorry. I'm not up on my movie dog.
You're telling me that dog doesn't look at all familiar to you? There's got to be full cast and crew. Find dog. Dog trainer.
I don't know if you're going to find that.
I only have Sue Chipperton and Sarah Clifford as dog trainers. Sarah Clifford actually was the animal coordinator. Apparently the dog plays a big enough role to have 2 dog people on cast. But I don't see the headshot for the dog in the cast list.
Shocking.
Famous dogs. Okay, well, I can move on from that. I've had a, believe it or not, a
And he didn't make it
week.
to his name's not on the movie poster.
No, he didn't. Just
Really? He looks like Benji, though. Like when I look at the poster, it looks like Benji.
Yeah.
Which obviously it's not because, Benji's dead. Sorry, children. That's just like a horrible thing to say.
Benji's dead, like your future, because of the internet and robots.
Your future because the world's about to be destroyed. Meteor. We're on so many strange tangents tonight. Anyway, tell me about your non-movie.
No, I had a terrible week for movies, because I was sick last week, and then this week my lovely wife had a travel week for work, and so it's just been me with the kids, and so we've watched a metric boatload of Smallville season 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you were watching those.
Yeah, we're cranking through it, nearing the end of Smallville season 2 with the kids. They're loving it. It's not a bad show. I'm going back to it for that kind of age. It's entertaining. I like that hunky Tom Welling. We just saw the episode where Christopher Reeve did his guest appearance.
I had no idea he did.
He did that, and wow. What there he is tied up or tied down to that wheelchair with that trach coming out of his neck. And he still looks so strong, like that guy. I just see him and I'm like, well, clearly he's pretending because look how big he is, like strong. Yeah. And he just looks like a brick house. He's still super. You take off that cardigan sweater and I'm sure he's still wearing the uniform under there. It was sad, but it was good because they brought the score. That was the first episode where they brought the score from the original movie into the show. And so when he discovers it's Christopher Reeve who reveals that that young Clark Kent is from Krypton and how he got there. And that as he's revealing the big secret, you hear the ba 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 ba. It's just it's really very touching for those of us who grew up with that theme.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. We just wrapped that up, so it was very much a TV week, and so I didn't catch any movies. I think next week I'm on for. See, now I've just forgotten it. How could I actually have a movie date with a buddy to see a movie that I have not seen, and I'm very excited about it, but I've just forgotten what it was.
That's coming out next weekend?
Yes, it is pretty new. Yeah.
Probably Katherine Heigl's new one, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to line up for that. Yeah.
That we should do a Katherine Heigl bad comedy
or
series.
This Means War. Maybe I'll do This Means War.
Oy, yeah.
No, I don't remember. I'll tell you what it's not. It's not Underworld Awakening. That's one for,
it's not, huh?
for rental.
Yeah.
No, okay. So let's talk about this. What do you got?
I saw one more. I did see a DVD I rented trying to catch up on all my Oscar picks, and it was A Better Life, for which Demian Bichir, I think, something like that, was nominated for Best Actor, and a great movie. And Demian Bichir is his name, and he definitely deserves to be nominated for Best Actor. It's a fantastic performance, great film, and yeah, it was a real nice surprise. I completely missed that movie when it must have just kind of skipped by real quickly in theaters.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely worth watching.
Right.
So
I figured it out. It's Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh, of course you are. I should have known.
It's because of the directors.
Oh, yes.
They're insane. Have you seen the behind the scenes of these? They're insane.
I haven't.
They're crazier than the stunt people. Like they do all that. You should see them. It's just like 60 miles an hour on a skateboard, hand holding the camera, being dragged behind a car to shoot the motorcycle scenes. It's unbelievable. So I'm stoked to see that one. I think they're known for the directorial antics. Excuse me. Okay, we got to talk about this movie.
Yes.
We got to move on.
Yes. Let's jump into the game.
Let's jump into the game. Okay. So I emailed you. Okay, go ahead. You do the background. Do the background. Do you want me to talk about my email?
Yeah, talk about the email.
All right.
First.
So I was really surprised because my memory of this movie was really strong. Right. I remember this as being formative for me, particularly in my opinion of David Fincher as a director, and in just that sort of genre thriller, the suspense thriller kind of a thing, and it just did not hold up for me. I mean, it's been years since I've seen it, and I watched it, and I realized I found myself in some places sort of offended by it. Like so I wrote you this email and I told you this. I said this movie has not held up for me, and it's angering me, and then you hadn't watched it at that point, and so how does it sit for you, the game, David Fincher?
For me, it was one that I always bought into, like the crazy rules of this world that we're in. And I still loved it. I watched it again and I loved it. And I know it's one that a lot of people don't. I think in the all of the works of David Fincher, I think this and Alien 3 are usually kind of his toward the bottom of people's lists.
Well, that's the funny thing. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Alien 3 now, because I actually think I'll like it better than I like this.
Interesting.
But it's for a different reason. Like for me, the reason it didn't hold up is because it feels extremely dated to me. The foundation of the film, the sort of cosmic foundation of the film, is built on the premise that we are to feel some sort of emotional sadness, some sort of emotional tie to the sadness that this extravagantly wealthy protagonist has in his life. And I found myself offended because I don't feel sorry for sad rich people. And that's how can I have a character, a character connection and feel anything for this character, which is the basis for how I feel something for the movie, when I just don't like him and I don't buy that. So I guess my point is, I wonder how I would have reacted to this film, 3 years ago. And I'm not a crazy, I'm not out there protesting and, pooping in the park. Not that that's crazy. That poop in the park is crazy. I'm not, I've dug myself a hole. I'm going to move on from it. I did not protest, but I have a really hard time, with feeling a strong connection, a strong empathy with a character that is so clearly part of, as long as we're in the hole, part of the 1%.
Sure. Right.
Oh, I'm so sad for you and all your money.
We're not sad for him because of his money. We're sad for him because he's lonely.
Buy a friend, dude. No, I'm sorry. You can't. No, everybody knows. Money can't buy friendship.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so here's the thing. I mean, there's this whole philosophy in modern screenwriting called Save the Cat, right? This book came out, I don't know when it came out, a few years ago, sometime in the last 5 years. It's called Save the Cat by, a guy, Blake Snyder, wrote this book. And the whole premise of the idea of Save the Cat is you can make your story about anybody, but what you have to do is you have to have a scene early on where we meet the hero or the protagonist, and they do something like saving a cat that defines who they are and makes your audience like them, even if it's an unlikable character. An example that I heard somebody talking about was the movie The 25th Hour, which I don't remember very well, but Edward Norton is the protagonist. He's this guy. He's got like 24 hours before he has to go turn himself into prison, and he did some crimes, and it's him kind of coming to terms with, basically paying the price for the crimes that he's committed, right? But right toward the beginning of the film, like, he saves a dog, and I mean, quite literally, I mean, it's instead of a cat, it's a dog, but it's quite literally taking, doing what the title suggests. He's doing that thing that makes you like him, even though he's kind of still not that likable of a character. But by doing that, the audience connects with him. And that is one thing that I did notice while I watched this, is you're right. There's nothing that Nicholas Van Orton does in this film in the beginning that makes you like him at all. There's nothing.
No, there is. You're absolutely right. There is nothing. And I think you've described it, you've described my feeling really perfectly, and you at least that supports my feeling really perfectly. He's not redeeming. Now, there are some things I dearly love about how the movie was constructed. Even though I'm finding that I don't actually like the movie all that much, I absolutely appreciate a few things that still surprise me. And the first of those is the gambit is revealed so clearly in the beginning, and yet the suspense still builds to the end.
Yeah.
That's really remarkable, just how obvious the game really is in the first 25 minutes of the movie as it is revealed. And yet there is still this bit of sort of wonder toward the end.
Well, let me ask you a question. Jump back in time to 1997, when this film was released. Try to remember, when you first saw it, did you buy into this whole story all the way to the end and the big reveal, or did you the whole time were you like, oh, it's just a game, this is all part of the game? Like, were you one of those people who, quote unquote, caught on and knew what was going on the whole time?
Man, I don't really have a memory of that. I don't know. I mean, I think I what I imagine now, kind of trying to manufacture hindsight, is that it was some feeling of, okay, it's part of the game, and why doesn't he get it? Why does it's that, like, this is one of those movies I would have been yelling at.
Huh.
You know what I mean? No, don't go in the door. No.
Right. See, I totally bought into it. I bought into the whole thing, like, oh, it's a game. And then when the whole big reveal comes, when, oh, they're really just scamming him, they're using all these tools to really rob him, I was totally convinced that was really what was happening.
Yeah.
And then everything builds to the end, and you think that he kills his brother and just all this awful stuff. Like, I totally bought into it all the way through to the end when he jumps off the building, crashes through the glass, lands on the bag, and I was like, oh my god, it all really was a game. Like, I totally was in it, hook, line, and sinker all the way through, and I loved it. Chad, our buddy who was on the show for the Social Network episode, he was like, he knew the whole time that it was a game. And I don't know. I guess I just bought into it, and I just kind of went along for the ride the whole time.
Wow. I guess there really are two ways to go. You either buy it or you don't, and you get to be surprised. You get to be surprised, or you get to be right.
Well, but see, I see it either way. It's going to end up being a surprise, and maybe I'm just defending myself for not catching on. But I think it's an interesting surprise at the end when you find out it's just a game, and you see how they end it, and how the big reveal happens when you find out it is just a game, right?
Yeah. Which is,
but it's also a surprise. Like, it would have been a surprise if it went down that other road where, he thinks it's a game, but it's really just this crazy machination that these people have come up with to steal money from the 1%. And if they went down that road and ended it on that path, I think I would have been equally sold,
Well, then it's a Robin Hood story.
Oh, it's a burglar story. I don't know. They'd have
Yeah,
to
I mean,
be
it's a
given to the
heist.
poor.
Yeah, it's a heist.
right, yeah.
It's a heist story. But either way, I mean, you don't actually have to give to the poor when you're part of the 99% in order to give it, in order to be a Robin Hood story, because you just keep it. You're already poor.
You're already right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. So I think that's one of the film's really strongest merits is the general construction of it. And yet, it didn't. It sort of middling performance in the box office.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge success. I mean, I think they spent about $50 million on making the film. It made just under that domestically, and about $60 million internationally, and so it ended up bringing in about $110 million. So I mean, it made its money back. It got more money on DVD. So I think that they probably at least broke even on it.
How does this movie, how does it stand up in the canon of David Fincher to you? I mean, does this fit as we're talking about David Fincher and we're doing this in reverse, and now we hit this movie, his third sort of major motion picture. And does it feel like it fits there? Yeah,
it does. I mean, it's another genre film. He's proven himself. By this point, he had made a sci-fi. He had made a kind of a police serial killer thriller, and now he's kind of made a kind of a neo-noir psychological thriller. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just another link in the chain of genre films that he'd been making up to that point. So I don't think it felt out of the ordinary for him to be making this as a film. I mean, if you look at the way it was shot, everything about it really feels very Fincher.
Yeah, it does. It feels very tied in with with Seven. I mean, you can sort of feel the variations on a theme in terms of general sort of shot structure. It's cut clumsily. I was not a fan of the editing. There are scenes where it feels oddly paced. The dog scene strikes me, where the dog is chasing him down the alley and they're climbing up on the things, and it feels like they run a little way down the narrow alleyway, and then the dog runs like 3 miles behind them. Like the distance the dog ran is significantly longer than they ran to get there, and it felt like sort of a B movie, kind of a clumsy editing choice, knowing full well that they needed to buy enough time for the actual scene to play out. It just felt clumsy, and it's not the only sort of instance where it just felt clumsy to me. However, you go back to the premise, and one of the quotes, I honestly can't remember where I read this as I was reading it, but it was one of those Fincher quotes talking about his initial intentions of the film, which was to take your greatest fear, put it right in your face, and say, "See, you're still alive. It's okay." That was the sense. And I feel like it makes more sense knowing that from him. The movie makes more sense knowing that was his intention. I did not get that from just watching the film.
See, and I do get that from watching the film. So it's interesting. It's one of those films where he doesn't save the cat at the beginning of the film, but for some reason there's something about, I don't know if it's Michael Douglas or what, that just, I do connect to his character, and I'm along for the ride all the way through. And like his character arc as he, finds out what happened at the end, and Spike Jonze is there wiping the glass off his face and everything.
Was he even Spike Jonze at this point?
Yeah, he was. He was already a big music director.
Okay.
Music video director. But And then, Sean Penn comes out with that shirt, whatever. I was drugged and left for dead in Mexico, and all I got was this stinking shirt, whatever. Which is, I just want that shirt. That's such a great
clever.
Shirt. But Michael Douglas realizes what's going on, and he kind of breaks down, and you see that man who's been, he just a terrible man who, through all of this, deals with his past, with his father committing suicide, and getting over his coldness, and is finally able to be reborn, essentially. And I thought that was just genius, and I always loved that construction at the end, and especially how Michael Douglas played it. I always bought into the world. It's one of those things where it's like, people are going to ask, it's like, seriously, are they able to, they have to get like essentially half of the people in the city of San Francisco involved in this elaborate hoax. Not only that, but like Daniel Shore at CNN, it's just
which was brilliant. That scene was actually terrific. Yeah, it was great.
But you start realizing how many people are on the payroll for this game, and that was a big question I wanted to ask him. Like, how big do you think that bill was at the end?
Oh, you really want to know, right? That's the I think I may be putting my finger on one of the reasons I had such trouble with Nicholas Van Orton, and I think it's because of Gordon Gekko.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same character. Right? Really? 10 years earlier, Michael Douglas plays Nicholas Van Orton as Gordon Gekko in Wall Street. We didn't like him. He goes to jail. He's a jerk. 10 years go by. It's essentially the same guy played by the same actor, and he's all sad and lonely. And he doesn't save the cat. We know he doesn't save the cat because he's a jerk in this movie 10 years ago. So I think that's one of the reasons. I think maybe as a thought experiment, what would it have been like if Kyle MacLachlan and Bridget Fonda had actually been in the movie as were originally intended? It would have been a different movie.
Well, yeah, I mentioned that to my wife, and she's like, "Seriously? That would have been horrible."
It probably horrible. It would have been.
Well, and for all intents and purposes, that was a different script when they were signed on.
Yeah.
That was when it was the first draft, or I don't know if it's the first draft, but the initial script by John Brancato and Michael Ferris. And this was back in '91 when they were attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a very interesting. I would love to get a hold of that script and see how it's changed. Fincher has a quote. Let me find it here. Talking about the film, he says, "There were three primary influences on the game. Michael Douglas's character was a fashionable, good-looking Scrooge lured into a Mission Impossible situation with a steroid shot in the thigh from The Sting." So those were kind of
I liked all three of those movies.
Yeah. And then he also says this film differs from other kinds of films because movies usually make a pact with the audience that says, we're going to play it straight. What we show you is going to add up. But we don't do that. In that respect, it's about movies and how movies dole out information. And I think that's true because I think a lot of people have a problem with this film because they find the all of those little bits of the game to be just so far-fetched that people by the end of it are just like, oh, come on, seriously? Mm-hmm. Now they drove him to Mexico and left him in a grave in the middle of, some random little town in the middle of nowhere. People just start kind of tune out, I think. But I don't think from this, it sounds like it was never their intention to play it straight, to be a realistic movie. It was always designed to be a movie that just kind of tells you a story about this guy.
Well, and that gets back to this idea of the construction. And when you look at, Mission Impossible and The Sting, both of those movies, in contrast with the game, betray your faith. by exposing the trick at the end that you were not aware of, right?
Did Mission Impossible?
Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking of is the mask, all the mask pulling off. But it's been a long time since I've seen that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean there is something going on that we, the audience, are not aware of, and it is revealed at the end. And in this movie, even though it's not like we have a bullet point list of all the, tricks they're going to pull on him. We know because of the explicitness of the setup, and finally Daniel Shore saying the game has started. Mm-hmm. We know that everything that comes afterwards is the game. And that is, it's almost like Fincher took this movie on a dare that said, what if we set up this rule as a filmmaker that you have to tell the secret at the beginning? How would you make a movie like this? Like, that would be a great film school class assignment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to set up a challenge for you that requires a great deal of art and craft to write your way out of.
Yeah.
And because that's what this movie feels like. It feels like an assignment. And on that, I think it succeeds.
Sure.
You don't even care what I'm saying.
No, I see what you're saying, and I agree. I mean, it does have that sort of feel. It does feel kind of like they were testing themselves. They were seeing if they could kind of make it work, and they were just trying some new things to see, okay, if we did this, what would happen? If we did this, what would happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
The interesting thing is that Fincher was planning on making this before 7. But Brad Pitt became available, and so they were able to jump on 7. So the big question is, if this was his first film, well, I should say his first film after the Alien 3 debacle, would his career have been able to continue, or would it have pushed him back into commercials and that would have been it?
Well, probably, because, I mean, just assuming that this film was released as it is, as his second film, it, even though it was sort of mediocre in the box office, it wasn't bad. I mean, the reviews were strong overall from the big key reviewers. I mean, Ebert, it wasn't a 4-star review, but it was close. There were some nice comments about nice comments about the just general structure of the film, that it pulled well then. And when you think about the sort of cultural context of 1997, the story fit better, I think, culturally, and was accepted better than I think it would be has it been made now. So I guess the question is, would he have been allowed to make a movie like 7 immediately after this?
Right.
What comes after the game?
It could very well have pushed him into a world where he just was directing assignments. You know, he could have been directing. I'm trying to think what came out around then, 98, 99. I don't know, but yeah, he could very well have just been making sequels to bad movies, and nothing that was as great as 7 or Fight Club.
He could have done Armageddon. He could have been the next Michael Bay. But immediately after this, there were some really strong films that came out, and 1998 it was a good year for genre movies. I mean, we had Saving Private Ryan came out in 98, A Bug's Life. I know you loved Deep Impact.
Was that 98?
Yeah, that hit Téa Leoni Robert Duvall vehicle.
The best part of that movie was watching that tidal wave just smash into Téa Leoni. That was the best part of that movie. Oh,
oh, that's good. Truman Show. The Truman Show was that year.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie.
That was a great Great movie. All right. Well, in general, I think if I were to have some closing comments on that, I don't have anything else to say on this movie. Do you have anything else to say just on the production of it? Any other?
Well, I have one. I don't have a whole lot to say production wise on this one, but I did want to just say one bit of Roger Ebert's review, because I think he also, he liked it. So, he's, I think, on my side, I guess, since I seem to like it more than you do. But this line here, I think, kind of sums it up nicely. It says, of course, many of the physical details of what happens to him, being Nicholas Van Orton, are implausible or even impossible. But so what? The events are believable in the sense that events can be believed in a nightmare. You can hardly worry about how a horror has been engineered when you're trapped inside it. To me, that just kind of, defined why this world worked for me. And I wasn't concerned about, were there really scuba divers outside of that taxi cab when it plunged into the bay? And, just all of those sorts of things, like how they worked out the intricacies of making sure he jumped off the building in the exact right spot.
That is the, so to speak, the biggest leap of faith.
Well, yeah. No pun intended.
Right.
But it's, I like it. It's just a really interesting character study about a real not nice character who goes through one of the most awful comeuppances, I guess, that I've seen since A Christmas Carol, maybe. And it's really interesting to see how he grows and changes. I like it.
You think he grows and changes?
Yeah, don't you? By the end of it, he realizes, he's kind of purged all of the darkness, and I think at the end of the film, he realizes there's more to life, and he's able to make up with the what's his name's character, the Armin Mueller-Stahl, Anson Bear, the other publisher, and it's, I think he's going to make a change.
I think you're probably right. I buy that, but the only thing I would say is, and I think where the film falls short for me again in that character development category, is that I think I would phrase that at the end of the movie, we see that he has reached this point of change, not by the end of the movie. To me, by the end implies that you have actually been able to bear witness to his change through the course of the film, and I feel like it's sort of sprung on us at the end. Like we see him having reached the change in his life, not reaching the change. And it may be an issue of semantics, but for me, that's a character, sort of evolutionary character pacing issue. So.
No, and actually that's a very, very valid point. It's a great way to describe it. I think you hit it pretty nicely saying that. Again, it doesn't bother me that the change happens so late, but I do see how it could bother one.
One meaning me. Don't worry, I hear you. Loud and clear, dude. Loud and
one
clear.
Meaning you. One meaning you. You're the, I guess I can call you the, now I don't have it anymore.
Armin Mueller-Stahl?
You're the left brain word fetishist.
Fascist. I'm a fascist. Okay, so next week we're gonna I've been looking forward to this since we started this damn series.
I know.
Okay, should we talk about what version we're gonna watch though? We're gonna do 7 next week.
Yeah.
What
There's
version?
only one version.
No, wasn't there like there wasn't a director's cut extended edition? Let me tell you why I say that. The version of it that I have, the reason it makes me suspicious, I have the very first DVD release of it, which I ripped, but it required my DVD of it was double-sided.
Oh,
because they couldn't fit the whole DVD on one. It was like the very first DVD that came out.
Wow.
Right? That and Stargate. and it was double-sided. And so it makes me think it's been re-released now and has more to it. But you're saying I don't have to worry about that.
It doesn't have more to it. They repackaged it as a special edition. I think it came out in 2000 or right after, sometime after Fight Club, before Panic Room.
Yeah.
And they did a very, very thorough kind of going through and remastering the color and just making it look gorgeous again. And I don't know if the initial DVD press that you had, I think it's probably just pulled straight from the I don't know what they pulled it from, the Laserdisc version or something.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I'm really interested in your take on the actual film process on this movie next week. It's an interesting process that they went through with it. They did a film process on the game too, something that I hadn't heard of before. And I didn't have time to look up what it was. It was called what was it called? I can't remember. Some acronym where they shot it in a certain way with the film. ENR, a printing process known as ENR, which lent a smoother look to the night sequences. Yeah,
I'm not quite sure what that is, but that's what they did in the game.
It was very smooth. Very smooth.
They really kept it dark. That's one thing I know.
Well,
it's just dark film.
One of the commentators I read in kind of reading up on the background of the film noted something that I had not noticed, which was every time Nicholas Van Orton pulled up to the driveway at his house, it was light outside. But by the time he reached his house, it was dark. Right? And the comment was, what, does he have a 300-mile driveway? And I don't think he does. I think if you look at it that way, it's a really interesting sort of character choice that every time he goes home, he is in the dark, both literally and sort of metaphysically and emotionally. And when he goes out into San Francisco, like, here's this dark character sort of fighting the light that is actually out there in his life. I think that was a really interesting thing to note. And that is one area where I look at that not as a continuity issue, but as a really interesting visual choice.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
Right.
It is really interesting. What I'd like to end on this silly little note. As I was reading the script, I was at the right when we started this, I was at the point when he was doing his tests at CRS toward the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the montage sequence where he's answering the little true-false questions. And the three questions that they have in the script are, I often feel someone is following me, true-false. I hate vegetables, true, false. Vegetables hate me, true, false.
Yeah, that's as good a place as any to answer. You got anything else?
No, I wanted to end.
I know, you're good. So I'm good. I want to end on Save the Cat, people. Go save the cat.
Yes.
Here at The Next Reel, we've been passionately discussing movies week after week since 2011. That's a lot of movies and a lot of conversation.
Sure is, Pete. And to be honest, it's a lot of work too. But it's work that we love. If you have been enjoying our show, we'd like to remind you that there are ways to support us, even if you're not able to become a member just yet. You might have heard us talk about our new watch page, where we've listed every movie that we've talked about, paired with Amazon or Apple links to rent or buy the movie.
Now we'd like to introduce you to our originals page. Let's take a trip down memory lane, Andy. Do you remember what the first film we discussed on The Next Reel was that was an adaptation?
Well, let's see. It wasn't obviously our Indiana Jones series, because those were all original. Then we did Charlie Kaufman. Oh, of course. It was adaptation from Susan Orlean's Orchid Thief.
Exactly. We have covered quite a few adaptations over the years, and now we're providing a way for our listeners to delve into the original source material.
That's right. Just head over to thenextreel.com/originals, and you can see the list of all the adaptations that we have discussed.
From our David Fincher series, featuring The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Social Network, Zodiac, Benjamin Button, and Fight Club.
To our Paranoia trilogy with The Parallax View and All the President's Men, we have covered a variety of adaptations.
Those were some great discussions, especially Fight Club. And let's not forget our baseball series with The Natural and Field of Dreams, adapted from Shoeless Joe.
And Up in the Air and Thank You for Smoking. So many memorable conversations.
Absolutely. And you know what's exciting? Each purchase you make through our links doesn't cost you any extra, but a percentage goes to support the next reel in our family of shows.
You can support us while diving deeper into these fantastic stories, whether it's the paper, audiobook, or Kindle version.
We've also included plays and movies. If they were the source, we've put it on there.
So what are you waiting for? Head to thenextreel.com/originals, support The Next Reel, and get your next great read today.
I'm off to reread Fight Club. Now, where did I put my Kindle?